Hi guys, and welcome to week 5 of the Ultimate Life Transformation Program. And to be honest with you, this week's video has kept me awake because it is one of the most exciting topics that I love talking about. But not just that, it's also been one of the biggest catalysts to when I finally awakened to this. This is the one thing, the single one thing that immediately started transforming my entire life. And I'm really excited to share it with you guys this week. Now, this week we're going to be talking about relationship and how that mirrors back to us what it is that needs to heal within ourselves as well as what needs to heal within other people. Now, I want to start by telling you that the only purpose of relationship between two human beings, whether it be your boyfriend, your sister, your brother, a friend, an employee, somebody you work with, any single person that you enter into a relationship with or have an experience with, two people together, the only purpose of relationship is for those two parties, both parties, to get maximum healing and growth from that interaction or that relationship. Now, I'm going to try and explain to you exactly how that works. So there's always two things happening in any given interaction between two human beings. All right. The first thing that is happening is both those people are projecting subconscious and conscious things and feelings and experiences about themselves onto you or onto each other. All right. The second thing that is happening with any interaction between two human beings is that we are being triggered. Both those people are being triggered. Things are being triggered inside of you and inside of that person as you interact. Now, those triggers are phenomenal little tidbits of gold if you know how to use them. Because those triggers are actually signals from your soul that are showing you what the things are that you need to work on and that it wants to heal at a soul level inside of you. So I want to try and give a couple of examples so that we can clearly understand how this works. Because what we tend to do is we tend to focus on sort of the details of the story. Like a lot of times when people tell me what's upsetting them, they will go into the details. And then he said this and then she did that. And we focus so much outward and on the details of what happened, what was said, what the experience held, as opposed to turning that mirror to ourselves to see what is my soul triggering, what alarm is going off that wants to heal within me at a soul level. And we actually miss that opportunity to heal and grow because we're so focused on the external factors or on the other person and what they did or said. So just to give a couple of examples. Now, let's assume there is somebody at work who, for some reason, your boss came to you today and told you just exactly how useless you are and that you're contributing to nothing or you're wasting his time, anything like that. So two things are happening in that moment. The first thing that's happening is he is projecting something onto you that at a soul level, he feels, even subconsciously, most of the time this is subconscious, but he's projecting onto you something that is going on with him at a conscious or subconscious level. It could be, for instance, just as an example, that he might be having problems at home with his wife and he's projecting how he feels or how she makes him feel, or a previous experience even that he's had in his life that made him feel like he's not contributing or he's useless. And he's projecting that onto you. And at the same time, what's happening in you is things are being triggered, all right? It is either something that at a soul level, a fear that you have of not being good enough, or a past experience that's being triggered where you were felt to be, made to feel that you're not good enough. So in that moment, he's projecting, you're being triggered. And what often happens is instead of then turning that mirror inward to ourselves to see what needs to heal, and also looking outward to see what that person is projecting so that we can either help them with it or even just pray for them about it, we tend to go home and really internalize that. And the worst thing that we do most of the time is we make it mean something about ourselves. We tell ourselves a story about what that person said or did or how they treated me, what that means about me. We make it mean something about ourselves. For instance, that I'm worthless, or I'm not worthy of being treated with respect, or I'm not good enough. That is the story we tell ourselves. When in actual fact, all we should be doing is taking that as a mirror, seeing what's being projected and what is being reflected back to us. So that is what we're going to focus on this week. I actually want to give a great example that I had of this about a week ago, where I was chatting to a school teacher. And she's actually such a sweet little lady. You would never, I can't even imagine her getting upset. And she was telling me, she said to me, you know what, there's one thing that when a kid does this in my class, I literally feel, and this was her words, I feel like I can take a broom and knock their head off. And I was quite shocked because she's this sweet little old lady. And I said to her, okay, so tell me what it is. What is it that this child, or that if a kid does this, it really upsets you this much, or it gets you out of sorts. And she explained to me, she said to me, you know what, she's got a spirit of excellence. And never mind that she actually spends the whole night before the lesson really preparing this lesson for the kids. She says that when she stands up there, she really gives her all in a lesson, gives everything she's got. And then these were her words. She says to me, but Mickey, you know what? While I'm standing up there giving my all, there's this child. And she is sitting there with her textbook closed, looking down, not listening to what I'm saying or taking in what I'm teaching. And she is drawing pictures in another book. And I feel like I can literally knock her head off in that moment. And I sort of just looked at it from the outside because I know how to use the mirrors by now. It's become a conscious way for me to think. And my immediate question to her was, where in your life did you previously feel like when you speak, you're not being heard, or what you have to say is not important? And almost instantly, she turned around and she said to me, oh my goodness, my dad, my entire life, that is how my dad treated me. I said to her, so it has actually got nothing to do with what that child is doing. That child's actions is literally just triggering something inside you, a past experience, something subconscious that your soul wants you to be alert to so that you can turn inward and start to heal that thing. Because that trigger, by the way, if you don't turn inward and heal it, you're just going to have another experience in a different form at some later stage that will continue to trigger that, all right, until such time that you work with it. And she was very excited because she was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting healing here. And I said to her, whoa, 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 there's a second part to this. You now have to take the mirror and turn it the other way. Show it to the child. What is this child projecting? What is going on with her that she is sitting in class and not paying attention? I mean, that could be anything. I don't know the child, but it could be anything from that she's projecting that she feels she's not intelligent enough, or her parents have maybe at some stage told her, you will never understand math. But try to see what is being projected by that child, because you as a teacher especially, and us as people, can actually help each other when we know what it is, what the other person is projecting. And it also helps for it to land a lot softer in us when we see where they're coming from. And very often, especially with past experiences, when we start working with these mirrors and seeing what was actually being projected and what was being triggered in us, we kind of tend to then realize, you know what, even our parents, for instance, as an example, we tend to look at our parents as these super beings who are just parents, but at the end of the day, they also have experiences, they also have an upbringing, they also have a past. And a lot of the things that they did to us as kids, or how they reacted or how they treated us, or things that we experienced with them, is also their own projections and triggers that's going on of stuff that's happened and experiences they've had in their lives at a subconscious level. So that is what we're doing this week. I'm going to teach you exactly how to start becoming conscious of these things and how to use these mirrors, not just in your day-to-day life with given experiences that you have from moment to moment, but also for you to use them for some past experiences that you can work through to really see what was it that was being projected onto you by that other person, and also what was actually being triggered in you in that moment. But also we're going to look at taking the story that you made that mean about yourself and changing that. And you know what, healing ourselves really has everything to do, and healing our minds as well, has everything to do with how we perceive something. And how we perceive it usually comes from the story that we tell ourselves about it. And that is what needs to be reframed. To give you a good example of that, if someone told me their life story is that, when they were 12 months or 12 weeks old, their parents were the dad was maybe an alcoholic, and the mom was sort of this really, horrible person who wasn't very loving, and who drank a lot as well. And there were always fights in the home. And when you were 12 weeks old, they actually gave you away. They gave you up. And you spent about 5 years of your life in an orphanage trying to find, hopping from home to home, eventually finding a nice home for yourself where you stayed for 4 years. And after those 4 years, your dad happened to come back and say, I want my child back. And then took you back. Maybe took you to his home. He was living with a girlfriend that you didn't like at that stage. Maybe they were both still drinking a lot. And he ended up in prison, and you ended up with her, staying with her for the remainder of your school years. So your story could either be that, that is my story, that is where I come from. And you know what, I understand. I usually tell people that we all have experiences, and we can all take a story like that and say, that is why I am who I am today. That was my upbringing. And that's, it's justified. We're all people, and we have experiences, we have feelings. But if you look at that story, if you can change your perception of that story, how you perceive it, turn it around and actually view it from a different perspective as well. To give you an example of that, why not tell yourself rather the story that, you know what, when I was just a mere 12 weeks old, I had 12 weeks of experience with fights and alcohol and things like that. And at 12 weeks old, I was intelligent enough to tell myself, you have got to get out of here. If you want to make it in this world, you've got to get out of this situation. And that you actually somehow got yourself out of there, got yourself into a better home years later, where you not only learned what family and love is all about in those 4 years, but even when you went back to your dad's house and ended up with his girlfriend, who was not a great mother and who might have been drinking a lot and whatever, that, she actually allowed you to watch a whole lot of TV when you were a kid, because she had nothing else for you to do, or she didn't know how to raise you. And the fact that you were able to watch so much television is the reason why you are where you are today, either helping people with those same problems, or that you're a movie producer, or you're working somehow in the movie industry because of that. So always look at a story and see how you can change your perspective of it and perception of it. But that is what this week is about, and that is what you're going to be learning. And I promise you, this was really one of the most profound things, that once you realize this and become conscious of it, you're going to play the game quite often, is whenever somebody triggers something in you, it's going to become fun. It's going to become fun to see, okay, so what is being projected here and what's being triggered in me. My friends think I'm crazy because I'm already at a stage where if anything happens, where someone fights with me, or they're nasty to me, or something bad happens, I immediately go, yay, what's happening? What are we growing, changing, healing, next level? Something's happening. So I get excited about it. But I do hope you're going to enjoy this. Really use this. Use this. This is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have in your life. And the truth is, unfortunately, we think the problem is other people. But the truth is that we're our own problem, our triggers, our stuff. Each person has their stuff. Hurting people hurt other people. We've heard that so often. And it unfortunately is the truth. So the more we heal within ourselves, whatever's being triggered in us, the less we'll have bad experiences with people or internalize that and feel bad about it. And B, the less we'll get triggered, because those things will get healed. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. I really, really want to hear your feedback on this. And I'd like you to let me know. I'd like to coach one or two of you live through some of the experiences you've had with people, or people that you feel you just don't get along with or don't like. I'd like to demonstrate how the mirrors work. And don't worry, I'm not going to show your face. Nobody will know who you are. It's just going to be your voice. But let me know, drop me an email, and let me know if you're willing to let me do a live coaching session with you through one of these experiences, so that the other guys can see exactly how this works. Guys, have fun with it this week. And remember that once you turn that mirror, always, always be graceful with yourself. Have grace, have mercy and love for yourself. Because remember, you acted and reacted in every single moment with the best knowledge that you had at that stage. All right. So you did what you could with what you knew back then. Okay. So have some fun. Looking forward to hearing back from you guys. Cheers.